What's going on YouTube? Welcome to From the Top Rope with Andrew Crawford. I'm Andrew Crawford. I'm the GOAT. Not the GOAT, but I look like a GOAT. Close enough, am I right? I think I'm right. And today on the channel, there's a reason I'm not wearing a WWE shirt, but an ECW shirt. And that is because we are going to count down my top 10 favorite non-WWE wrestlers of all time. There's basically 12 on here. Hold on. There's a lot. There's not just 10 because there are a couple tag teams here, but I'm very excited. I've not just watched WWE for about 20 years. I've watched wrestling in general and as a whole for about 20 years. AEW, TNA, ECW, New Japan, you name it. I've watched it throughout my time. And so this list has actually been a very difficult one, but I did end up filling it up with a lot of prime TNA wrestlers. Number 10, the Monster Abyss. Abyss is a wrestler that you might like solely based off of one thing or another. When it comes to, if you like your wrestling really technical, really athletic and story driven and stuff like that, Abyss isn't your cup of tea. But if you prefer big, brooding, hardcore wrestlers that will bleed all over the place and will genuinely look imposing just by looking at them, nothing else, Abyss is definitely for you, bro. Abyss was literally basically a monster out of an insane asylum. And in 2010, when he started carrying around that big 2x4 with nails all sticking out of it and named it Janice and destroyed RVD with it, that was some of TNA's best character work of Abyss just being exactly what he is, and that is a raging lunatic monster, and I loved it. Number 9, the wrestler's name was Suicide. Literally, a name going with a wrestler is awesome. Not in this case. This dude was actually I'm convinced, actually like that. He had a move, he jumped in the Ultimate X match, which is where they have the 4 posts set up and ropes crossing to form an X, and the prize in the middle is what y'all are fighting for, and there's no ladders, and it was super crazy. And Suicide did a spot. Alex Shelley and some others were fighting to unhook the strap on top of the X, and Suicide just jumped from one of the pillars that were holding the ropes into the middle and splashed them off, held on, unhooked the belt. And when I watched that match back the other day, I was like, this dude's pretty dope. This is crazy. And Suicide's just kind of been one of those TNA wrestlers that I would label as underrated. Yeah, he was a mainstay in the X division, but I don't feel he ever got his his due in a world title picture, and it really sucks that he didn't. Number 8, Sting. This is the first case of, yeah, this guy's been in WWE, but his pre-WWE career is what made him. WCW Sting, NWA Sting, whatever, that was amazing. Sting is one of the very best WCW has ever had. Sting was WCW. But in 2002 when TNA started and Sting showed up there, it was almost like a rejuvenation of his career. Some of his best character work that he had ever done came in TNA when he did the Joker gimmick and just his even his feud with Mick Foley, these two dudes that were older than dirt feuding over the TNA World title, was so much fun. And I watched the Lockdown match from 2010, Team Flair versus Team Hogan. Sting took a thumbtack bump. He was not exactly prime Sting at this point. This was 14 years ago. This was in 2010, but he still wasn't prime Sting, if that shows how long he kept wrestling. I don't think I'd ever seen him take a thumbtack bump prior to that, and I was like, oh, old man Sting just took a thumbtack bump. And honestly, respect. 7, my second favorite non-WWE tag team of all time, Beer Money. Beer Money was amazing together. James Storm and Bobby Roode, Robert Roode, had this chemistry that can only be summed up as they're not brothers, but they may as well be. And it is some of the funnest, just TNA goofiness that you've ever seen. You know, when James Storm would come riding down on that souped up cooler with like wheels on it and handlebars, like it was like some little like four wheeler or something. It was so hilarious. And then like in ring, they had this tag team move where it would be like a suplex into like a powerbomb neck breaker type thing, and I was like, oh, like I don't know how to explain how cool Beer Money was and how good they were. But when it comes to your tag team wrestling in the 2000s, like after the Attitude, in between the Attitude Era and the New Day's like rejuvenation of tag team wrestling, TNA had the best tag division between Beer Money, Team 3D, Motor City Machine Guns, we'll get to them, a young Bucks team that was going by Generation Me, you know, British Invasion, LAX. There was so much that TNA had, but Beer Money was the start and the end of it, let's be honest. Number 6, Jay Lethal. Jay Lethal is, up to this point, the only guy that you can look at outside of his TNA career. And honestly, yeah, like, TNA is my favorite non-WWE alternative, or WWE alternative. And while Jay Lethal did have his iconic moments in TNA, the Macho Man gimmick, the Ric Flair off with Ric Flair himself, when you think of Jay Lethal, you think of the fact that he might be the best wrestler in Ring of Honor history. Jay Lethal is genuinely one of the most entertaining characters ever that TNA had. But in Ring of Honor, it's where you really saw, okay, this guy can go in the ring too. Like, this guy's crazy good. And he had that, I think he had the longest reign with the Ring of Honor World title in history, and that is, wow. Because Ring of Honor is like a company that prides itself basically on the in-ring work ethic that these guys have. So for one man to hold the title that long, it's basically them saying, this guy's a really good wrestler. Really good. But, again, Jay Lethal. Number 5, Kazuchika Okada out of New Japan Pro Wrestling and now AEW. Okada is a 5-star match machine. Him and his best dance partner, Kenny Omega, are probably two of the best non-WWE talents ever. And just everything about Okada does not say sports entertainer, it says pro wrestler. Like, he has the aesthetic and entrance of a pro wrestler. He comes down to the ring and it's just like this big act of showmanship. and his finisher, the ripcord into the most violent looking clothesline besides JBL I've ever seen, says, I'm here to break someone in half. And I love it. And I have so much respect for Okada and Omega, and the fact that, honestly, they really helped introduce a new country to New Japan. And it's a big respect thing, and I genuinely wish Okada could have gotten signed by the WWE. For my favorite non-WWE tag team of all time, the Motor City Machine Guns. These guys were literally the closest thing to a high-flying Daredevil tag team since the Hardys, and the things they have done in TNA are ridiculous. They had this move where Chris Sabin would drop kick them, the opponent would go down on their face, Alex Shelley would lock in a last chance three, and Chris Sabin would drop kick bro, and I was like, oh. And like the thing is, it was like, they didn't miss a beat, it was bam, bam, bam. I don't know how to actually snap, but just like it, they were quick, they had in-ring ability, they could talk, and honestly, on the Mount Rushmore of non-WWE tag teams, you scoot everyone aside and you put the Motor City Machine Guns there. You put Beer Money there. And I hate to say it because I hate them, you put the Young Bucks there. But no one gets the George Washington head, the most important head on that Mount Rushmore, over the Motor City Machine Guns. 3, Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega in New Japan specifically is the one I'm talking about. The match quality that he had in Japan as opposed to AEW, like the difference is actually staggering. Like the best in-ring work of Kenny Omega's career comes from Japan. I've watched his AEW stuff. It's not. That's not Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega was the heart and soul of New Japan once these guys left for WWE, once AJ left, once Shinsuke left. Kenny Omega was New Japan. You know, and every move he does, besides the one-winged angel, is like, just, it's a move that like everyone's like, I want to put that in my repertoire. And the V-trigger specifically, the big knee Kenny does. Seth Rollins started doing it, and so many other wrestlers started doing it. But no one does that move better than Omega. And as I said, the one-winged angel is a thing of beauty. It's like you put them up in an electric chair, you bring their head down, and you drive them into the ground, and it is a thing of glory to watch. But Kenny Omega has all of my respect when it comes to non-WWE wrestlers. Like, he's had his WWE tryouts, never really got there, but he deserves every ounce of spotlight you could muster to give him. Number 2, Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe's whole gimmick is, I'm a very good wrestler, but I don't care, I'm gonna kill you. That is Samoa Joe's whole gimmick. Like, Samoa Joe brings such an intensity with him to the ring that I don't know if it's actual Samoa Joe or if it's the man and he's being that intense for real and he's trying to super for real kill you. And not to mention, he has one of the best counters in wrestling history where someone's going for a high-flying move and Samoa Joe's just like, nope, and walks away. Like, that is so hilarious. But he also has the most realistic finisher in wrestling history because guess what? It wins actual UFC fights because it's literally just a rear naked choke. And he also has the Muscle Buster, which has ended wrestlers' careers on accident, but even for real, it looks very devastating, where he puts your head here, grabs your legs, pulls you down, and falls back with you. And the reason that that move has ended someone's career on accident was poor Tyson Kidd, his head slipped and fell under the weight of a 300-pound Samoan man. He's not actually Samoan, I think he's from like Venice Beach. But either way, Samoa Joe is amazing, and while what he did in NXT and even for a while on the main roster of WWE was awesome, you will never, ever get a better Samoa Joe than what you got in TNA. Like, Samoa Joe is the second greatest TNA wrestler of all time. Number 1, they call SmackDown the house that AJ Styles built. They can shut up. TNA is the house that AJ Styles built. From 2002 to the time he left in 2014, AJ Styles was the heart and the soul and even the blood of TNA. Everything TNA represented, the new breed coming in, the talent levels, the athleticism, the X Division, AJ Styles represented that to a T. AJ Styles is the first ever Triple Crown winner in TNA, winning the Legends, X Division, and World title. He is the first ever Grand Slam TNA champion, adding the tag titles to that. And honestly, I love AJ Styles still to this day, but the AJ we're getting in WWE now, and the AJ Styles we got in last year, 2022, 2021, even 2020, that's not the real AJ Styles. 2016 through 2019, yeah, it was still AJ Styles. Less of the, like, phenomenal moves, but, like, he was still AJ Styles. One of the best in-ring workers ever. But TNA AJ Styles has every right to run at the title of best in-ring worker we have ever seen. His talent level is second to none. His ability to sell, only Shawn Michaels has more. I'm sorry. There is not a wrestler on this planet that exemplifies indie darling more than AJ Styles. And I say that as someone that loves Bryan Danielson, loves Adam Cole. They were literally like 11 and 12 on my list respectively. But no one tops the phenomenal AJ Styles. And that's the video. Did you like it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Tell me about it in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. This has been From the Top Rope with Andrew Crawford. Stay tuned next time where instead of doing a wrestling video, I'm counting down my top 10 favorite Disney movies of all time. Whoops. And this is not like animated. This is Disney Channel original movies. So before anyone gets pressed by that list. And unlike John Cena, I can see you and I will see you very soon.